Hello everyone, it's Shannon here for Honeybee Stamps. In today's video, we are going to create this floral card featuring a layering stencil set. We're going to use highlights and gradations to really make this design pop. The layering stencil we'll be using is the new Folk Art Daisy Stencil. There are 4 stencils in this set. We're going to start with the stencil for the leaves. I'm going to center it over. I'm going to center the stencil over an A2 panel of some light blue cardstock, and then I'm going to ink blend over all the openings with Faded Jeans Distress ink. We're just going to do a nice flat blend here with this ink, and once we finish ink blending all these openings with the Faded Jeans, we're going to move on to a darker shade and create some gradations. The darker shade is Chipped Sapphire, and I'm going to ink blend with this darker ink kind of at the base of the leaves where the leaves would meet the stems. I do get a little bit on the tips of the leaves here and there because the leaves are kind of close together, but the real key is not to get Chipped Sapphire all over the leaves, just kind of at the tops or at the bottoms. Just a little bit will go a long way and make those gradations. Now we've moved on to the next stencil. This is the stencil for the stems. I'm going to ink blend a nice flat blend here, but very heavy-handedly with Chipped Sapphire. Really get it as dark as possible so we have lots of contrast and we can really tell or really separate the stems from the leaves, just to add more interest. Now we're going to move on to one of our flower stencils. This is the one that has the big daisy in the center. I've lined it up and I'm going to ink blend this simply with Broken China, a nice blue. I'm sticking with blues here, even though they're kind of a little bit different from each other, not all in the same kind of family, but this will just simplify kind of our color palette and make it very pleasing because we're not overwhelming with too many different colors. Now I moved on to the last stencil and we're going to move on to Mermaid Lagoon, kind of in the same family almost of that Broken China. And again, nice and flat, no gradations for the two flower stencils, and that will actually complete the ink blending for our card. Now I'm going to move on to the highlight. Just have a Jelly Roll white gel pen here, and I'm going to start adding a little highlight to everything, all the petals, all the leaves. I don't add it to the stems, but I do add it to even the little dots that you see for little accents here and there. I do add a little highlight to that, and I don't really worry about where the light's falling. Just add it wherever you feel it feels appropriate. Now we're going to move on to our sentiment. I have the Big Time Kindness stamp set here. I pulled off a sentiment, it says Sweet Friend, just inked it up in intense black ink and stamped it onto some white cardstock. Then I'm going to use the coordinating die and die cut that sentiment out. And now that we finished the main part of their sentiment, I'm going to go back to that Big Time Kindness and create a sub-sentiment. So I just grabbed a nice smaller linear sentiment here, and I'm going to ink it up in clear embossing and watermark ink from Honeybee Stamps, dip it into some white embossing powder, and then I'll heat set with my heat tool. After I heat set this sentiment, I will trim it down with my, I like to use a craft knife and a ruler, and then add a piece of foam adhesive to the back side. Now we're ready to put this card together. I'm going to add some liquid glue to the back side of my panel. I did trim it down so it is a little bit smaller than an A2 panel. It's 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. I went ahead and adhered it to an A2 top folding white card base. I've already added foam adhesive to the back side of my sentiment. That is Sweet Friend. Just going to adhere that to the center of the card front. Once I get that stuck down, we're going to finish the card with our sub-sentiment. Well, almost finish the card. We have one more element we're going to do, but just pop that sub-sentiment down underneath our main sentiment, and then we'll finish this card with a little bit of embellishments. I have these awesome kind of gems from the Spooktacular Gem Stickers set. I'm going to grab these nice, almost like black metallic gems and stick them to the upper right and lower left sides of my sentiment, just for a little bit of sparkle, a little bit of bling, and that will actually complete today's card. Hold up to the camera here so you can get a good look at all the details. This card has a lot of interest, even though it's practically a single layer card except for the popped up sentiment and gems. But thanks to the highlights and the little bit of gradation, this card has a lot of faux dimension. I hope you guys enjoyed today's card and video. If you have any questions about the products I use, please check out the links below in the description. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.